Hello everybody, welcome to Unit 2. For this unit we'll be focusing on the theme of conformity and rebellion. And for the first unit module, our focus will be on fiction and non-fiction. So just keep that in mind as we do the reading for the week and try and bring in the ideas we've discussed in the first part of the class about how fiction and non-fiction function, etc., the differences and the similarities between fiction and non-fiction as you read the assignments or do the reading for this week or for this unit rather, unit module, and for the next unit module. So for the terms to know for this unit module are irony and satire. Learn them, love them, live them, etc., etc. Take the terms to know quiz, get some extra credit. Now, just to note that you don't need to place the definition of these terms in your discussions when you use them. You just need to use the terms themselves. Make sure you use them properly, however, but you don't need to include the definition in your post. Just keep that in mind. Now, the reading assignments for this week are obviously fiction, nonfiction. We have short story. Bartleby the Scrivener is technically a novella, which means it's not quite as long as a novel, but it's longer than a long short story. So it's it's a longer text for the week. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas is pretty short. So I'll try to balance that a little bit. I wanted to do a longer text to give you some experience with reading and responding to longer text in the course. The essays for this week are A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift. You may have read that before, and also A Letter from Birmingham Jail, which you also may have read before. Again, we have individual choice, so you can have some choice in the matter. You can decide what else you would like to read, another short story and another essay. And also I've included supplemental texts per usual. I encourage you to take a look at these because they can help expand, I think, your understanding of the required reading. So we talked about in the last unit's discussion that hearing something read aloud to you or reading it aloud to yourself can give you a better understanding of the text. A lot of you have noted that anyway. So just keep that in mind as you do the reading for this unit module. The discussions will discuss how different artists take up the concepts related to conformity and rebellion, and we'll also think about the ways narrative tone influences readers' interactions with and responses to different texts. So in terms of the conformity and rebellion across artistic genres, I'll have you look at this. Look at and respond to this painting by Keith Haring. I want you to keep this in mind. Look at it. It's also included in your textbook, but that's what will be kind of the focus and idea that will carry through our thematic discussion for the week in discussion 2.1.1. And in 2.1.2, that will be more of our craft discussion for the week, how tone influences the way that we respond to texts. Now, in terms of the unit theme, conformity and rebellion, I wanted to talk just a minute about this theme. Our textbook authors, Apkarian and Klotz, in the introduction to the conformity and rebellion section, they say that although diverse in treatment and technique, all the works in this section of the book are about individuals struggling with complex sets of external forces that regulate and define their lives. Now just think for a minute about the forces that regulate and define your lives. They talk earlier about that some of these things could be the state or government, the church, tradition. There's also family, community, all sorts of different things that influence how we are present in the world, the things that we decide to do, the things we decide not to do, and we're being pulled in so many different directions to conform, to not conform. And so just think about those things as you try and relate to the texts for this unit and for the rest of the unit, because there are so many things out there that influence us. I pulled some images from the internet about conformity and non-conformity, sort of random images, but just things that are ways that conformity and non-conformity or conformity and rebellion are used to influence how we act in the world and the things we purchase, the things we consume, etc., etc., the people we hang out with. I thought this one was kind of funny. Non-conformity is a group effort, that it's really a paradox that when you are rebelling, you are actually conforming with someone else's ideas. This next picture, let's see if it will pull up here. There we go. So the one before it was an advertisement for men's clothing. So either you're one of the herd, you conform, or you wear Lebo, you don't conform, and you're the cool guy over here all by himself. Isn't he a snazzy dresser? This is probably an old advertisement. It appeared in the New Yorker magazine. I'm not sure when. And here we have this image of kind of a corporate world: consume, obey, conform. Kind of the objectives, in a way, of corporate America and the corporate world are that we consume their products, that we obey them, and that we conform so that we can consume more and obey more and conform more, etc., etc. Just an interesting commentary there. Here we have another commentary on that conformity conformity destroys animal life in this way, and if you don't conform, you go vegan. This statement here that conformity will destroy animal life, but if you don't conform and you're a vegan, you will be saving all these animals. So that's another way that conformity is sometimes, or non-conformity is used in advertising to get people to go along, because non-conformity is, we value it so highly, I think, in America especially, that individuality is a priority, so that if we are conforming, we're not being ourselves. But if we don't conform, then we are making a difference in the world. So just something to think about there. Now, conformity is cowardly. Just think about that for a minute, the message that conveys. We have the guy here who is not conforming. He's taking a risk by raising his hand, by standing up for something. And it does take a risk to, I think, stand up for something you believe in, especially when everyone else around you is just conforming to the opposite way of thinking. Now here is a different take on it, that when you are unique, or just because you're unique doesn't mean you're useful. Keep that in mind. That's an interesting commentary there. That just because you're different doesn't mean that you're much good in the world. That fork won't really do a whole lot. So that's an interesting commentary there on how nonconformity can be damaging and can make you of less use in the world. Here's another demotivational whatever poster. Nonconformity has never been so popular. Again, pointing to the paradox here, the contradiction between that conformity is a way of just, or non-conformity, rebellion, is a way of conforming with someone else's way of thinking, and that when you think you're rebelling, maybe you're not so much. All the same hairstyle, etc., etc. Now here is an advertisement from an international retail outlet that you can save the world from conformity by purchasing their products or by working with them. So that in this sense, rebellion is a way of saving the world. It's an interesting commentary there. Prim and proper, not so prim and proper. And here, this is again another commentary on the corporate world. Everything about it: consume, obey, conform, 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 buy this, buy that. And so the commentary here is, this world's not so cool. It's all in black and white. And I think we can take from that, if you want to see in color, you should not conform. You should rebel a little bit. So those are just some of the random pictures I found. Came across in a quick image search on the internet. Thank you, Google, for that. And also, we're taught. I found this when I was trolling YouTube for conformity videos. Classic Sesame Street video, a lesson in conformity. The story of Stan and Dan. Just play this briefly for you, because it shows how we're taught from youth, taught from childhood in America, that we should basically not conform. That conforming can be not as good as not conforming. So here's Gordon and Stan and Dan on a lesson in conformity.
And when Stan would buy a new pair of sunglasses,
Hi, like my new sunglasses?
Dan would also get a new pair of sunglasses.
Hi, like my new sunglasses?
As a matter of fact, I do.
I got them because they're just like his.
So, Dan would always do everything that Stan did. Until one day,
Hi, like the new flower in my lapel?
Hi. I decided I'm not going to do everything Stan does anymore.
what happened?
Well, you see, I decided I didn't want to just look like Stan. I wanted to look like me. So, how do you like my new clothes? My new hat, my new beard, and my new guitar? Hmm?
Well, I like them. And so, Dan had learned that he didn't have to do everything that Stan did. And that was a very important lesson. A lesson that you might want to learn also, because
Hi, how do you like my new clothes? A new hat, a new beard, a new guitar.
well, I guess I like them.
Kind of funny, interesting to think about the things we're taught from childhood here. And it's kind of funny that he didn't like being the nonconformist, and so he decided to conform. Anyway, so these are some of the topics or some of the things we'll be talking about thematically over the course of this unit: conformity and rebellion. Just some things to think about as we move into the unit that we're in the middle of a constant tug and pull. Every aspect of our lives, I think, asks us sometimes to do something a little different, always pulling at us, asking us to do things we don't want to do, things we want to do, and we can conform or we can rebel. It's a complex issue, and it's kind of fun to think about this in terms of literature. So I hope you have fun with this throughout this unit. If you have any questions about anything, please do feel free to let me know. My inbox is always open.